Welcome to the Bourbon Retriever. My name is Chris, and today we're going to be doing a tier list of all the Old Forester products that they have in their inventory. Where does your favorite Old Forester land on the list? Let's find out. So if you've watched other content outside of bourbon on YouTube, you probably are at least a little familiar with tier lists, but how they work is you rank everything from S down to E or F, kind of tiering out whatever you may be ranking, whatever it be games, songs, movies, you name it. Now, why do we start at S? I don't know. If you know in the comments, let me know. I don't know if it means supreme, special, superpower. I'm not sure what it is. It could be just someone who didn't pass kindergarten and how to do their ABCs. But we start with S and it goes down the list from there to A, B, C, D, and E. Now there are multiple factors that you could consider when you're making your tier list. The two things I'm going to look at is MSRP and the quality of the whiskey that you are drinking. Those are going to be the two factors for me. You could consider other things like availability, secondary prices. But if these tier list videos are something that you guys are enjoying, maybe I can make a couple of different variations considering different factors for each of these different distilleries. But if you enjoy these tier list type videos, hit that like button. I'll be checking in to see how the metrics on this video does. If it does well, maybe I'll make other tier lists, maybe for like Buffalo Trace, Four Roses, Michter's, you name it. There's a ton of distilleries that you could be doing this type of tier list for. As we're going through this tier list here, let me know in the comments if you think some bottles are ranked too high or too low in your opinion. I would love to get a conversation going on in the chat below. Hear other people's thoughts on this because I'm sure there are a wide range of views on how you could rank this list. Okay, the first bottle that we're going to be discussing on the tier list today is the Old Forester Barrel Strength barrel proof version of Old Forester. These are all single barrels. This one, I am gonna be honest, I'm not the biggest fan. It's gonna get a pretty low rating here at D. That may surprise a lot of people. I know this is a favorite of some, but for me, these are way too ethanol-y. For the proof that you're getting, I would expect a lot more flavor. And there are some good ones out there, but they are far and few between. And these are just bottles that I personally am not really buying that much anymore, unless they are absolute hitters. But the black labels are on the opposite side of the spectrum. These, to me, are going to be S-tier bottles. If you find one of these, buy them. These are also store picks, but they're proof down to 100 proof, which, in my opinion, is the best proof for Old Forester products. Different distilleries have different proof points that they're, best at. Some, might be higher proof, some maybe like 107. For me, for Old Forester, it is at that 100 proof. I don't know what it is about it, but it just, all the banana notes, the creaminess comes out, the flavor comes out, and it just kind of, for better lack of term, it turns into smooth. It's not offensive. You don't get any of that ethanol-y punch. Now, it could be because they heat cycled their warehouses. Maybe at the barrel proof version with them artificially doing the temperature, maybe it gets a little more tannic and harsh on the edges. So when you water it down, it gets a little more palatable and smoother. And just, if you see these 100 proof bottles, go out and buy them. They are absolutely amazing. The next one on this list is probably the most FOMO bottle from Old Forester. It is the Birthday Bourbon. Every year these come out. I always want them. I have not yet gotten them. I've had a couple bar pours, but I have yet to land one of these bottles. And to be honest, I think this is going to be, I'm leaning towards B and C tier. Oh gosh. I'm going to leave it B right now, but this might get moved down a little bit. These are $200. They are expensive, and more often than not, they're just okay. Like, they're not special pours. They're not incredible pours. They're just good whiskey. And for how expensive that is, for $200, you should be getting, in my opinion, a much better product. I bet you if you took it outside that label, people would not be going goo goo gaga over it. That said, I would still buy one if I saw one because I do want a birthday bourbon on my shelf. But in the grand scheme of things, on the whole Old Forester tiering of their products, it's just not the best value buy for what you're getting for what you're paying. Now, before we go further into the tier list here, if you're enjoying this content, hit the subscribe button. That way you don't miss any future content that I put out, including maybe future tier list videos such as this. The next on this list is 1924. This is a bottle that a lot of people do not like, but I am in the minority and I am a big fan of this bottle. I'm putting it all the way up at A tier. This might be the biggest out of consensus pick on my tier list here. It's a 10-year age-stated product, and it, to me, brings out what you want in Old Forester. It's what I would want birthday bourbon to be a lot of times. That deep, darker, richer oak notes you get. You get it at half the price. It's $100 instead of $200. It's 100 proof. It is, to me, again, a great whiskey with an age statement on there. I do wish it was cheaper. $100, that is what's keeping it from S tier level. For a legacy distiller, they should be putting this out at a much cheaper price point. Like Eagle Rare 10, $50. Knob Creek 9, that's like what, 35? What else is out there? Knob Creek 12s, those are like 50, $60. So Old Forester, you should be doing a better job. This should be a cheaper product. But the quality is good, and I think for what you're paying for the quality, I think it still, to me, it lands in that A tier. A lot of people hate on it, but time and time again in blinds, put it in blind yourself, and this bottle, I guarantee, will do better than you expect in those blinds. Now, the next bottle on this list, I might be getting a little top heavy here, but this is also going to be an S tier bottle, and it is the Old Forester 100 Signature. This is, I think, the best value for your money in almost all of bourbon. It's a $25 product, and this thing drinks like a $50 product. Don't take me, don't overblow this. This bottle isn't like whiskey of the year type whiskey. That's not what it's meant to be, though. It's meant to be a $25 shelf stable product that you can mix, you can drink neat, you can drink it on the rocks, and it fulfills all those purposes. And you can drink this neat, put this in blind, and it will beat bottles that are twice this price. This is an absolute fantastic pour. Of all the bottles on this list, if you do not own that, if you have not tasted it, go out and buy it. You will not be disappointed, because I think it is the best $1 whiskey of what you are getting out of the Old Forester. You understand what the Old Forester profile is, and it is an absolutely smashing product. Okay, next we're getting into some of the Whiskey Row bottles here. The first one is the original batch. I think this is an okay pour. I'm going to put it in C tier. You're starting getting into the more premium price points of Old Forester. However, I'm not sure you're getting the value for your money out of it. They're fine whiskeys. There's nothing wrong with these whiskeys. It's just compared to some of the other products you can get. Same thing with the Bottle and Bond one. I'm gonna actually put this, if I can put this in front of the original batch, yeah, I can. I'm gonna put that in front of it. I think that is better than the original batch. To me, it has a lot of the same profile notes as the Signature 100 proofer, which makes sense. They're both 100 proof Old Forester. But I think for what you're paying, it should be a lot better than the Old Forester single barrel. I mean, Old Forester Signature. And it really isn't. You're paying almost double. I think that's like a $50 bottle versus the 25 Signature. And when you can get the Signature for half the cost, it just doesn't make sense to buy. That's why it's all the way down here in the C tier, but it is better than the original batch. The next bottle from Whiskey Row here is 1910. This is gonna be, I think we're going A tier with this. I think this is the best bottle on the Whiskey Row series. It is one of the better double oak products to get new people into whiskey. It's only like $55. It's a great expression of what double oaks can do to whiskey, and it's almost on every shelf across America. You can easily get it. You're only paying $55 for what takes 2 barrels for them to make. I think this is a great product, and to me, it's gonna be an A tier because it is up there with what is a good entry-level double oak for what you're paying. I think, hands down, that's a solid A tier spot. The next one we're going to talk about is their entry-level Old Forester product, the 86. I think this is going to be a C. Maybe it might be a D. I'll put it. I'm splitting between C and D here. The problem is it's not bad. I'm going to put it in D. It's not bad at all. It's just, I don't understand the purpose of it. It's not that much cheaper than the Signature 100 proof. You are losing a ton of proof points from the 100. I think this is like 86 proof. And it doesn't seem to be competing with like the Jack 7s of the world, Ed Williams of the world on that price point. So I understand like Old Forester wants to have a shelf stable product that competes with those. To me, it just doesn't compete with them. To me, it's not really worth buying for the flavor and your price point that you're paying for it. I don't know. It seems like a miss for me for Old Forester with their marketing, with what they're trying to do with it. So to me, it's just not something worthy of your attention. And just skip it and buy the 100 proof top. Okay, next one is 1920. This is probably going to be another one that I'm going to get a lot of hate for where I'm putting it, and I'm going to put it in D tier. This has been a bottle that's been beloved by the whiskey tube community. It's constantly in the top best shelf-stable products for people. However, for me personally, I think it's very ethanol-y. Very similar to the Old Forester single barrels. I just get a ton of ethanol, not a lot of flavor. I don't know if these just have deteriorated in quality over the years. Maybe back a couple years ago, these were premium whiskeys taste-wise, but lately, the last couple batches I have just not been good. I cannot recommend it. It is only $60, but I think you can spend that $60 much better elsewhere. And to me, it's a hard pass with the current state for whiskey. Next one is the Old Forester Rye. I'm gonna put this in C tier. I think this is a solid mixer. You're making rye cocktails. It's not my go-to for like drinking rye neat. That's why I don't think it's as powered as the Old Forester Signature 100 proof bourbon, because I think that could be rocks neat, everything. Whereas this rye, it's not at all I'm gonna drink neat. It's an okay price point on it. That's why I think it's a good mixer. So that's why it's going to be in C. You're kind of right in the middle of here. It's just a nice mixer whiskey that you can use for the price point and availability. It's an okay bourbon. Or okay rye, sorry. It's a rye, not bourbon. And now we're on to the Old Forester President's Choice Bourbon. Okay, these can be hit or miss. Some are amazing. Some are just okay. They're $200. So they are expensive. I think I'm going to put this in the B tier, but ahead of the birthday bourbon, because the good ones are great. They could be S tier type level, but the problem is you're paying $200. It's a single barrel. You can't taste them before you try them, and that is a big gamble for what you are paying. At $200, it should be almost a lock that it's going to taste amazing. So that's why it's hard for the quality for what you're paying. I think that's why it gets dinged down a little bit. If it was more of a stable product, it would be much higher. You could go up to A, you could go up to S. But for the variability in the barrels, it's going to be B tier. I will say, like my Old Forester President's Choice, I would probably put that closer to top of A tier. But I've had many that might be even closer to C tier for what you're drinking. So I think I'm going to put it right here in the middle, put it at B tier, leave it there. It's expensive. And I don't know. I wish there's more consistency in it. Now we're on to the Old Forester Statesman. Now this was a marketing gimmick for the movie, that might have been 5-6 years ago at this point, but it's been kept around. I'm gonna put it in E tier. Most of these type of gimmick things, I'm just not the biggest fan of. It really feels like you're forcing selling the whiskey. It is okay whiskey, it's fine. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of gimmick type whiskeys. It probably could go a little higher if it didn't have that Statesman branding on it, but it's not a bottle I'm going towards often. I don't really need it in my life, so I'm just putting it E tier. Now we're on to the Old Forester 117 series. The difficulty about this is there's so many different variations of these. Like they have extra old, they have different warehouses, they have bottle and bond, they have rye, they have like a Scotch one. So it's kind of hard to put them all together. What I do like is it's a 375. Like that is top tier, amazing thing that I wish they did more for other products. I'm leaning between B and A on this because the good 117s are A tier, hard, top A tier. The bad ones of these, like the Scotch, that's like D tier. I'm gonna put this at B, right in the middle, just because I think it's the same with the President's Choice. Let's put this for a birthday bourbon if we can, because I think the variance there is it's the same issue with the President's Choice. You're looking at $100 for 375, so it's the same kind of price point. You're paying $200 for a 750. Now, if they had more bottles that were closer to like the bottle and bond or the extra old, I think this would be a solid A tier. But like the warehouse ones are okay. They're kind of in the B tier, and the Scotches, like I said earlier, are like D. So I'm kind of bouncing it out here in the B tier. It's solid whiskey for the price. It's cool mixing it up, trying different things, new experimental stuff they're putting out. So I like that variation, but we're going to be putting it here in the B tier. Next we're going to talk about is the Old Forester Barrel Proof Rye. Now this one's a tough one for me because I've only had one barrel proof rye in my life. I know there's some people out there who love these things and hunt them down. It's $100 for a non-age stated rye. I think I'm putting in B tier. But this is a caveat because I only had one of them. And the one I have, I enjoy. I think it's a good whiskey. For $100, it's tough paying $100 for it without having any age statement on it. I really think these should be priced closer to like the Old Forester Blue Labels. I don't understand why they're charging like $40 more for the ryes over the bourbons. So that's like kind of dinging the price a little bit. If this was closer to like $60, I think it'd be A tier. But with being $100, and just going off the taste profile of the one I have, which I like it a lot. I just don't think it's like premium tier whiskey. I think it's gonna be sitting here right at the B tier. But this could change after I have a couple more of these single barrels. Now we're on to the, what is this? I think it was like the King Ranch Old Forester. This is gonna be a hard E. Last place of all Old Foresters. Not a mesquite fan. Again, another gimmick, I think. It's just a whiskey I don't think they need to be making more of. Just not my profile, not my thing. That's probably the easiest ranking on this list. Now the final bottle. This is the latest release from Old Forester. It is the Old Forester President's Choice Rye. If you have not seen my review, go check it out. I was able to get one of these bottles, and it should not shock you that this bottle is going all the way up to S tier. This is an absolute fantastic rye. It beats a lot of bourbons in my mind. Now this ranking for the Old Forester President's Choice Rye may change over time because I think they're probably putting out some of their best honey barrels here at the beginning to help build up the hype for the brand. A lot of the barrels are older than what they said they were going to be. They said they'd be like 7 to 9 years old, and these are like 10 plus years. So I think these are probably gonna be some of the best that they maybe potentially ever put out. So the ranking for this might go down slightly over time, but as we are sitting here today with these first couple batches, I can only go off what they have already released, and to me, they are S tiers. Definitely try and get one if you can, because they are phenomenal ryes. I've had 4 of them, all good ryes, well worth that $200 price point, and some of them are, I think, phenomenal whiskeys that punch well above that $200 price point. So the fact that they all meet that $200 and many of them drastically exceed it, and that is probably one of the best ryes I have ever had in my life, it is instantly S tier. It is a goated whiskey. I don't know if it should go in front of these two. I think right now it's gonna be on the outside looking in, but you could convince me on that this might be ahead of these two bottles in S tier. So that is my tier list for Old Forester. Leave a like if this is the type of content you like. Leave comments on if you think any of these bottles are drastically misranked. And hit the subscribe button for you out so that way you don't miss any future videos. And until next time, cheers.